Welcome to the Wonderlands, a glorious fantasy realm chock full of shooting, looting, and mystical, magical, smelly stuff. When you traverse these splendorous lands, it'll be up to you, dear traveler, to class up and save the day. Perhaps you fancy your hand at Stabomancy. It's less magic and more a way of thinking. Specifically, how do I stab that guy? Mayhaps by tossing out an ethereal psychic ghost sword? Stabomancers are all about creating and capitalizing on opportunities vis-a-vis stabbing. Or should you prefer a less subtle approach, the Berserker is for you! See something? Smash it! See something else? Smash that! Unleash your frosty fury on foe after foe! Honestly, it's therapeutic. That's just a taste of what we've got in store for you. There are plenty more ways to play. Whatever your poison, we've got you covered. Welcome to the Wonderland!
Greetings, Vault Hunters all across the 6 galaxies. Welcome to the Bordercast. We are live once again at our usual time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mitsu.
And I'm Tessica, coming to you every week to break down all things Borderlands.
Traunt's back. Traunt's back.
He's
Vindicator
angry.
Gas call. Vindicator gas call. I'm going to say it a lot more times over the course of the A side of today's program, because if you don't have one yet, this is your opportunity, and now you have zero excuses. Zero excuses.
Not just that, but we didn't get a chance to talk about so many things last week. We ran out of time, so we're gonna talk about them this week. The Berserker, which is very appropriate because it's very cold in my apartment right now. We're gonna revisit that, as well as, if there's time, squeezing in some discussion on a few mechanics from Borderlands 3 we'd like to see transition potentially into Wonderlands.
I'm excited for that part of the discussion. But first, as always, we want to take a minute to thank our new listeners on iTunes, Spotify, and such, and those watching live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Steam, or later on the VOD on YouTube. If you are enjoying watching the program, we would love for you to give us a big ol' like, follow, or favorite so that my Wonder Box can spin more. Yeah, I got the spinnies last week,
Yes.
but I require more.
It was so nice. Mine is sitting right there. So if you guys ever see on stream or on the show, it starts spinning and I don't notice it right away, please tell me, by the way. It was so nice. It spun 3 times. There were 3 separate occasions. One of them, I came home and I just noticed it as I walked in because my front door is right there. And it was very, very cool to come home to. Very, very cool to see little snippets of Wonderland's stuff. We're just so excited for it. Oh my God.
That's very true. I'm really, really hoping, I don't know if it's today, I don't know if it's any time down the line, but eventually we'll be live on the show just doing it, and then you'll just see, we won't see it, but somebody in chat will see it, and the head will just start spinning in the back.
Yeah.
And then you just go and see what it is live, and it'll be I don't know, it'll probably be some troll posting or something like that. You show it, and it's just a picture, I don't know, of a mushroom butt.
Oh my God.
That should be it. You should be sent a picture of mushroom butt live on the show.
I would love that so very, very much. That would be amazing. I love Mushroom Butt. He's so cute.
And yet I still can't figure out why. It escapes me.
It's exceptionally round, okay? And it has a little mushroom head, and it's just adorable, okay? Just enough said.
It's going to be a recurring theme. Maybe at some point I'll be able to figure it out. I don't know. We're traveling on slow speed when it comes to that one. But in full gear, as opposed to my brain, is the 2K Next Makers program, which if you're a content creator, make sure you're paying attention to. Definitely get involved in the program. We've talked about it several times, so I'm not going to waste your time and talk your ear off about it today. But there was a community challenge this past week, as there was the week before. Tess, what are we up to?
14,230,947 sniper kills. All of that math studying coming in handy. I can say numbers. No, actually, that is an insane amount of sniper kills. Seriously, you guys, good job. I feel like snipers were definitely one of those weapon types that people kind of like, if they had one handy, or if one was extra splashy or exciting or super interesting to use, they might use it, but it was definitely not a lot of people's first choice. This challenge has been so fun to watch. I've been playing a little bit, but I've mostly just been watching other streamers, our community members, using all kinds of different snipers because they buffed them in sort of prep for this. And all kinds of viewers and all kinds of streamers just talking about how they're using literally every sniper in the game to get these kills. And it's so cool. So there is a new thing happening today, but this challenge is still ongoing, right? So we will unlock the next gift. It'll continue. So keep using your snipers, keep killing, keep enjoying the sniper shenanigans because they're so fun. And it's just, honestly, it's so awesome to watch.
It's nice to see sniper rifles get a little bit more love. Sniper rifles are something, especially in Borderlands as a series as a whole, but also Borderlands 3. Sniper rifles are better in Borderlands 3 than I think they have been since 1. But sniper rifles are usually not your go-to choice in Borderlands unless they have something ridiculously wild about it. Like the Pimpernel in Borderlands 2, you're going to use the Pimpernel because it slags, and it also, if you're using Salvador, it also had the ability for you to have, if you're, the reason people were using the double penetrating unkempt herald in one hand, or the Ahab, Ahab is even better for this one, Ahab in one hand and the Pimpernel in the other, is there was a bug where the elemental damage would come over to the Pimpernel. So you would get crit damage plus explosive plus slag on a sniper rifle that was high damaging. That was great, but that was a very rare example of good sniper rifles in Borderlands that could be used at a very high level of play. Everything else didn't really hold up. So that 20% buff across the board was such a huge deal. And the way Borderlands feels like, it doesn't lend itself to sniping all that much.
Yeah.
It's a very frantic game. Things are running at you very quickly. Enemies are huge, and hitboxes are hard to hit reliably sometimes. So
I always stayed away from snipers just because they made me feel like not claustrophobic, but a little bit closed in. Like I couldn't move as freely because you're so zoomed in, right? And it just limits you just a tiny little smidge. K6, thank you so much for stopping by with your community. You're so awesome to do that. We appreciate it so much. K6's first comment in the chat was that this Traunt thing is a struggle. So I'm really curious to find out what he means by that. But first, let's tell you what he's talking about, I think, because there have been some hot fixes today. And the details are that the Traunt family has hijacked this week's Borderlands 3 changes, and they're looking for revenge for what you did as part of Maurice's community carnage challenge, right? So you went and you got 1 million kills, or lots and lots of kills of everybody in the Traunt family, right? How dare you take all of them down so quickly? They're fueled by rage and ready to return the favor. We expect them to calm down next Thursday, so this is going on all week. When playing in Mayhem mode or True Vault Hunter mode, Captain Traunt, General Traunt, and Captain Haunt will have health and damage numbers rivaling that of a raid boss. They have gotten really scary. They're too tanky. Oh no! They're extremely tanky. Raid boss levels of insanity. If you manage to put them back in the ground, though, you'll have greatly increased chances of getting their very best loot. This is a limited time event that ends November 4th next week, at 8:59 a.m. Pacific or at 11:59 p.m. a.m. Eastern time. Bloody Harvest gear has been spread into each of the Traunt's loot, also their loot pools, until that same time, that same day, November 4th, next Thursday. So Bloody Harvest gear can actually be gotten from General Traunt and Captain Traunt, as well as Captain Haunch, just to clarify. But they're really, really hard. Also, like I said before, the current Community Carnage Challenge long distance relations, so the sniper rifle challenge, is still being counted during this event. So if you're using snipers, keep using snipers. We believe in you. You can do it. Oh, God.
Indeed. For those of you out there, and I imagine it's many, who love numbers, Moxie, who gives a shout out to a community member, I assume, CZ47 for the health values, had a tweet earlier that says the Traunts have 42 billion health each.
Ooh.
That's billion with a B. For reference, Grave Ward at Mayhem 11 has 1.7 billion health, and Seer has 10.6 billion health. Traunt is tanky. Real tanky. And I don't
kind of terrifying.
Yeah, and listen, because we right as we went live, Killer 6 was kind enough to rate us and share his community with us as we're live here on the Twitch channel. And he goes, they're too tanky. And when Killer 6 says something is too tanky, it's probably pretty beefy.
Yeah, we believe him. K6 is OP. That's intense. That makes me a little nervous. I was going to play later. Now I'm a little nervous. Oh, boy. Well, I mean, I guess the question is, do the loot rewards like warrant the struggle? Lazy can one-shot God doesn't mean it's balanced properly. Oh, yeah. Well, Lazy is a superhuman Borderlands machine, so we love him, but we don't count him as an example of a normal player because he's just incredible. I'm a little nervous now. I'm definitely a little nervous now, but I'm still gonna go out and try it because why not? And hopefully some cool rewards will result. I really love that they spread the Bloody Harvest gear around from all of them. Right? That's really cool. That's really, really cool. We'll see maybe if the community response is we want more loot. Maybe they'll be able to change that. I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to do it for the week's event. But keep telling them what you want. They are always listening, which is super cool. So we'll see what happens. Maurice's black market vending machine has moved to a new location. Do we know where it is?
Yes, we actually do.
Oh, cool.
Whereismaurice.com and Mental Mars, always the best resources that one can utilize in order to find where and what Maurice's vending machine might have. This week, Maurice's vending machine is located on Eden 6 at the Jacobs Estate. And the loot that you can get from it, a firestorm, which is okay. A creeping death. But they, of course, always have one thing that you might actually be interested in. And this week's one thing, it's just a little known gun called the Hellwalker.
I love that gun. It's so good. It's so good. Oh gosh. Yeah, it looks like the community feedback is definitely more loot please for the extreme challenge. So we'll see. Maybe there's devs lurking and listening. Hopefully. More loot please. More loot please from the event. Just putting that out there into the universe as a that's what we'd like. Anyway, that's it.
Oh, what, from the Traunts, yeah?
Yeah. It sounds like there's just a lot of people in chat saying they love the idea. They just want more loot. So,
yeah, the general sentiment right now of the Twitch chat, at least, seems to be that the drops are a little too low for the effort of actually going in and doing it. So I would think that, because it's one guaranteed legendary drop if you do actually manage to kill it, so they're saying. You need probably 3 or 4, and they probably got to be dedicated ones. When you're chewing through 42 billion health, I don't remember how much health Sponge Boss has, but that sounds even more than Sponge Boss. And Sponge Boss is literally exactly what it is. The name says, right? So
I do know exactly the character that I'm going to take into this fight, though, because I managed to beat SpongeBob with her without a problem. Of course, Triple G's GT Shorty. But that being said, more loot, more better, especially when the challenge is really, really leveled up like this. So yeah, just putting that out in the universe. Who knows if anything can change in a week, but definitely we can get more sniper kills in a week, and hopefully some good loot from this event. And in other super, super cool news, I'm excited to talk about this one. B&B is very, very, very close to being here. Bunkers and Badasses. There was a tweet earlier this week, and because last week I finally realized that I didn't have the little like bell thing on Twitter checked for the Nerdvana account. I checked that, and I found out that there's some good news. Basically, the shipment to the UK has arrived and is heading to the warehouse. The US ship is still waiting to be unloaded. Hopefully soon. So actually, this tweet was yesterday, I believe. So maybe today it's being unloaded. We don't know for sure, but hopefully. They're still waiting on tax office approval in the EU, Canada, and Australia to be able to ship out. But it's coming. Bunkers and Badasses is like this close to being here. I know there's a massive backup in the ports for ships to even land and get unloaded in the US right now. There's just supply chain issues. So just patience. But it's like really close. Like it's happening soon. It's next in line, basically. And the UK, it's there, which is so cool. Good for you guys. I'm super jealous. I want Bunkers and Badasses here, but it's coming. Cool things are going to happen with it. Really, really awesome of Christy to share that news with us. It's really good to kind of be informed. So hopefully it'll be here soon and we'll get to play it and share it with you guys.
Very, very soon. Bunkers and Badass. We've been waiting far too long, and it's nobody's fault but COVID's, really. So it's not even a body's fault. It's stupid virus's fault that we have to wait this long. So hopefully this is the end of the road for that, and we'll finally get all of our cool Tiny Tina Wonderlands and Bunkers and Badass and stuff. Well, because there's also the standalone that exists out there now too, with Butt Stallion's Castle and the one-shot standalone expansion. The book part of Tiny Tina's like addendum stuff that doesn't actually come with the game, but basically comes with like supplemental stuff all over the place, which is cool. So there's that.
Cool.
I hope that's God. Is that going to take some time to get here too? I didn't even think about that now, because like everything's got to be pushed back a little.
Yeah, I mean everything is delayed. Like across all industries. It's not just it's not just like book publishers or game publishers or sports thing manufacturers. I'm really being specific here. I actually had ordered something. I think it was like 4 months ago. It was a bike kind of thing, scooter thing. It was a part for a bike scooter thing, and it's on its way. I'm pretty sure it's sitting many ships behind Bunkers and Badasses, so it'll get here eventually. I hope someday. Maybe. And I know a lot of other industries are suffering from this as well. People I've talked to that are working retail are very aware of this. Their shelves are empty and they're like, we want to sell you things, but we can't. So hopefully things get better and things get more and more resolved with that. It's just been crazy. And the world has been crazy for the last couple of years. Hopefully the craziness just gets improved over time, and we'll have Bunkers and Badasses in our hands soon, and then we can play together and have fun again and remember what it's like to chill with people in person and be safe doing it. And we can just be hopeful. That's basically all we could do it right now.
Well, and in the season of hoping,
yeah, cool news
I
from
got
Mitsu.
a wonderful little message from Mr. Kevin yesterday, who works at our good friends at Rare Drop, and he let me know that once again I will be returning to the Gaming Community Expo, I say as I hold up the Guardian Con logo. But I actually stole this. I was a bad boy. This is from 2017. This is, how microphones, they have the little box that goes around it and you got the logos on and everything. There was only one, so I was just like, well, I was the only one doing it, so this is mine now. And it's probably one of my favorite mementos. Those of you who don't know, GCX, the Gaming Community Expo, as they like to bill it, and it is probably true, is South Florida's premier gaming event, where Borderlands was actually prominently and very eloquently featured last year through the Bordercast, where we had the privilege and honor of being on the space station, which was really cool. And then in the year before, where Borderlands 3 was still about June. So 2 months, 2.5, 3 months away from being released. And on the main stage, we got to do a cool breakdown of lots of trailers and things like that. And not just trailers, but skill trees. Liz and I actually sat down and talked about skill trees with Killer 6 for a while.
That's so cool.
And that was really cool too. Yeah.
That's
and they had
really cool.
a really nice booth set up and demos for the game for people to play. I think the two characters on display then were Amara and Mose. Or maybe it was Amara and Dane. Yeah, it was not Flack. Flack was the absolute last one.
I think, I mean, if I recall correctly, I think it was Amara and Zane, because I remember watching as much of that as I could catch, because I unfortunately couldn't be there. I hope I can be there this time. I've been wanting to go to a GCX like literally forever, so we'll see. It's in June. Hopefully you guys are excited about it. I'm super excited for Mitsu to host it again. That's really awesome. So congrats, and we'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Wonderlands has some sort of appearance there, or maybe even something relating to Borderlands will be at GCX this year. It's always fun.
I mean, Wonderlands will have launched, right? March 25th, 2022. So definitely people could be playing it there. That's really cool, actually.
We already know that there's the Chaotic Great Edition, and the Chaotic Great Edition has already stated that there's going to be 4 DLCs. March, April, May, June. June, 3 months, 3-month DLC window typically for most games. You never know, it could coincide with the first DLC.
Oh, the speculation brain is like, oh my god, things. That would be so cool. We'll just be really happy and looking forward to both the launch of the game and the event, and maybe the two together in some way, shape, or form. Because why not? That'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm. I'm just a child of patterns, and like I said, we've known what the DLC cycles have looked like for previous games. 3 months from March, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed on this one, because I definitely want to play it while I'm down there.
Yeah, man, I can't believe March is not that far away, you guys. In my head, it felt really far away for the longest time, because there's still like the new year and holidays and all that stuff. It's actually not that far away, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Dev Diary.
Yeah.
So in my post show wrap up and things like that, I often do look at the YouTube comments, even though they tell me that's something I should not do, and I try to review based on some feedback of the show, things that we might have missed. And one of the things that I noticed we really didn't talk about, and this was sitting in the back of my head last week too, is we talked a lot about the Stabomancer, because Stabby Stab is hilarious and it's a really cool looking character, but we didn't talk as much. And I think this, correct me if I'm wrong here, Tess, but I think that both of us are probably far more interested in general in the Stabomancer than the Berserker.
Yeah, I have to be honest about that one. Yeah, but I think I don't think that's like representative of the community or anything. I just think we both tend towards that kind of play style. And the Berserker is a really, really cool character. We literally we didn't want to like focus a lot on the Stabomancer and then not give the Berserker enough time on the show, and we ran out of time for the show, so we decided to kind of talk about it today instead. So we will dive deeper into that today, and it's very, very cool that they're doing this other kind of character. It actually reminds me a lot of my first character in Bloodborne that I played, because that like swinging melee weapon and how like heavy it looks and feels. If you notice it in the trailer, it just has this like oomph to it, like this weight to it, and it's really impactful and really, 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 really terrifying to the bad guys, which I think is amazing. So I'm sure that many of us will multi-class and will play several characters just to kind of, especially those of us that are content creators, but I think a lot of the community will play multiple characters, because there's just so many possibilities with this game, more than ever before, because you can mix and match So who knows what kind of things we'll end up using and what kind of characters we'll end up playing. I definitely want to at least try the Berserker and see what it feels like to play, because I definitely like that oomph of impact plus magic and burr effects, cold effects. Always very cool. Always very interesting.
Big time. So hey, look at that. Your feedback has been listened to and heeded. Wow. That's great. So, but this is something that's very worth talking about. But before we get to that, we're just going to do a quick recap of everything that was talked about in the dev diary. Valentine and Frit, which were names that I don't think we had up until this dev diary. We had seen who these people were. Now we get to know a little bit more, just their names, but a little bit more about them in general. So I don't know. We're going to have to see what they bring to the table, who exactly they are, who's voicing each one. I assume Valentine is probably Adam Sandberg, or Andy Sandberg, but I am not sure for sure.
We'll find out.
Seems like a name of a character he would probably play. Let's see, what else do we have? Queen Butt Stallion, Her Royal Highness, has also returned and is actually in this game. I mean, we did rescue her literally right before this happened, timeline-wise. So that does make sense that Butt Stallion would be returning.
Just an important kind of note for you guys. There is a cosmetic pack also called the Knights of Butt Stallion. If you are curious to learn more about that, you can definitely check it out. You're able to get that if you pre-order through any of the links provided by Mitsu or myself or any of our teammates on the stream team, or on the content creation team. I know K6 has one, so definitely use his link. I know Jolts and lots of the crew have one. Epic has one. Triple has one. We all have a link. So just go and use whosever link you want to use. Mine is posted on my Twitch channel below the stream in the About panel. I'm sure Mitsu's is up somewhere. Just use somebody's so that you can get yourself that really cool Knights of Butt Stallion pack, because, I mean, who doesn't want to be a Knight of Butt Stallion, right? Seriously. So
absolutely
cool.
Right in the name. You're a Knight of Butt Stallion.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever. Oh my God. So neat.
That I'm very excited for. So make sure that you are taking advantage of that for all your content creator needs out there. Feel free to use Tess's link, but not mine. It's fine. Stabomancer and Berserker, like I said, we've talked about that. We're going to talk about the Berserker a little bit more. Overworld discussion. The Overworld is looking magical, and it's something that we've been trying to highlight, and we're trying to like push it a little bit more. If you haven't seen some of the images yet, you're probably going to lose your mind when you do. It's basically take your character, shrink it down into like a super deformed chibi form, and just watch it as it, skips along this big map where it's not just about getting from point A to point B, but there are secrets, secret chests, secret encounters, secret zones, it seems like, that you can unlock optionally along the way.
That is absolutely incredible to me. I love the whole idea of it. I love the depth that it provides. It's very like JRPG, old school kind of feeling, but also it's really adorable and beautiful, and it gives you that opportunity to see your character that you've styled and sort of designed to look like how you want to look and feel how you want to feel. The fact that you can find secrets, this is one of the most sort of, I think it's kind of rare and kind of a major challenge for game developers, or at least I haven't seen it very often, where there's a big map, right? And there's like hidden secrets, and it's really worth it to go and look for those secrets and to just explore the map. And I love so much that Gearbox is doing this, because I'm sure it's going to be really cool. They've definitely had like Easter eggs and hidden things in their games before, but having like an overworld, like an actual sort of flat, cool map to walk around on and explore and then find those little hidden things is going to be so exciting. I'm so curious about everything that we're going to find. It's really neat that they're doing it this way.
The Overworld has been a huge highlight, and it is something completely different to any Borderlands game up until this point. It just doesn't exist, but now it will. So I'm very, I want to know more about that. it doesn't seem like there's more that they can add to it, but I guess I guess what I'm asking for at this point is a chance to sit down and actually play it, which it is October, November, December, January, February, March, 5 months. I don't know if you realize that, Tess. It's 5 months away.
That's not that far away at all. That's absolutely crazy and amazing.
So I don't know. I'm trying in my head to envision more about what this overworld probably could look like. Are they going to try and have it be all on one location? I'm not saying like, you know how Borderlands 3 takes place planet to planet?
Yeah.
Is this all going to be on, I guess, one planet? I say as my microphone falls, one planet in this fantasy setting, but it's going to be like different biomes? Or do you think it's going to be like a multi, in her head, planetary adventure?
I don't know. I mean, it really could be either or, right? Because again, it's all in Tina's head. So it's teenage Tina, but it's not like she wasn't like she lived on Pandora, but it's not like she wasn't aware of other planets and worlds and things like that. So, I mean, it could be anything. Like, we just don't know. She could have come up with a fantasy land, right? That's just one sort of land that exists, or she could have, come up with a like a Wonderlands, Wonderworld kind of playground for all of her characters in her D&D adventures, or B&B adventures, I'm sorry. Really anything is possible. So that one's hard to answer. I don't know how they're going to, I feel like if you were to go to different worlds, there'd need to be some kind of transport mechanism, right? So you'd need like a ship to go between continents, so to speak, on if it's like a fantasy inspired land, kind of like from D&D. I don't know what's gonna happen. They really could go anywhere with this, and I'm actually really glad they haven't told us anything about this, because I'm excited. I'm gonna be pleasantly surprised, I think, either way, however they choose to do it.
Yep. And that leads us into the next talking point that everybody loves: magic. And you know what they say, magic must defeat magic. That's the rules. They little hints of magic in Tiny Tina's assault on Dragon's Keep, but that felt like it was very much inside the confines of Borderlands 2's engine and system. And they were very generic. It's like magic missile was really just a purple ball you could throw at things. This time, it definitely feels like they're going full bore into it, that spells will matter, and they have it so that your left hand is the thing that does the spells. Yeah. So your right hand is your gun, your left hand is your spells, and you also get a melee weapon slot too. So I assume your melee weapon, maybe it goes on your back?
Or your belt, maybe?
Or your belt, that'd be cool.
Because like if you're not doing, like, let's say I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of mechanic for how often you can use spells. Right. Mm-hmm. So let's say you are shooting with your gun, and maybe I don't know if this is how it'll work. I'm just guessing. But like you could be shooting with your gun, set off a magical effect, and then like reach down, grab your knife, and then throw it, for example. Or, if you're getting closer as you're shooting, magical effect, and then you slide into your enemy and like stab them in the face. That would just be great. That would be awesome.
Which, speaking of melee, melee is designed to not necessarily be a focal point of combat, but is part of a chain, part of a rotation, if you will, something to enhance combat. You can sit there and left click and wail on something all day, and I imagine there are going to be people out there who are going to try and create some cracked builds that only focus on melee, and I really can't wait to see what those are like. However, the way the dev diary lays it out and the way Matt talks about it, it sounds like you can go in there and you can smack something with your sword or your hammer or something like that, or your axe, and then that leads you into doing something maybe with a gun, or maybe it gives your next spell an additional 20% damage or something like that. It sounds like it's all part of a flow and a rhythm of how they want you to do combat. They want you to use your gun, but they also want you to use your axe and use your spells and go through all three of these. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, wait a second. What, are there grenades in this game?
That's a really good question. I don't think we've heard anybody talk about that. Are there like consumable, throwable items at all? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be grenades, like traditional grenades, right? Because that's kind of like a futuristic item, right?
Mhm.
But you could have like potions that you could throw, right? That
That would be
will
cool.
explode. It's possible the spells really replace grenades because technically you're activating them with your hand and they'll have some kind of reach and they'll do all kinds of different things. There'll be fireballs, there'll be explosions, there'll be freezing things that happen. So, yeah, I mean, guns are futuristic. You're right. It's
Yeah.
bunkers and badasses. So, I need to turn off my D&D brain and think in bunkers and badasses brain. So, that includes everything. It's really Tina's creation, right? So it could be that they could have grenades. I don't know. Yeah, Drajna, who's hanging out in chat, saying alchemist fire and vials of acid would be fun to throw. I like that idea.
That'd be really
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they could add like potion vials in the future or something like that. That would be more grenade-like. But it sounds like spells are really taking the place of grenades currently because you're activating them and then they'll have that like reach and you can throw spells. Like you can throw balls of fire, probably. I'm sure that's like a standard spell, right? Why not?
Mhm.
So you
Oh,
could probably,
fireball.
yeah, exactly. You're basically just throwing fireballs and maybe they explode. Or maybe you're throwing like balls of ice and they spread and everything just shatters. That would be cool too.
Yeah. I mean, the precedent's already there, right? Berserker, which we're about to get to right now, I promise, has that cryo ability around it too.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me just real quick before we segue directly in, just talking about melee real quick. I have a question,
Mhm.
as I often do. They've already established that there are going to be many different types of melee weapons. Will these different types of melee weapons influence the kinds of attacks that you can do? Can you only do Dreadwind, which we'll talk about in a little bit, with an axe? Or can it be done with a hammer or a sword? Does it have to be one type of weapon? And if you can only do it with an axe, is there a weapon that you can only do, or an ability you can only do when you're holding a sword and only doing when you're holding a hammer, or whatever the case may be? Does the melee weapon matter, or are all the melee weapons the same? It's just that the numbers will be different, the aesthetic will be different, but ultimately it's just all melee weapons are the same. That's my next melee centric question. So.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I imagine there'll be a variety because I mean, that's what Borderlands and Wonderlands, I'm assuming, will be at least partially about, right? All the loot. So you want multiple different kinds of, like, that's a thing I'm really excited about is the different kinds of weapons and the different kinds of spells and other kinds of, guns and things like that. But melee, especially, I mean, there's so many possibilities for them to design like a wide variety of cool melee weapons, right? Different knives, different swords, different like crossbows and things like that. Maybe there's like an axe you can throw. There's so many possibilities, and I want to see all of them. That would be so cool.
And in those possibilities comes the class known as the Berserker.
Yeah.
So we didn't discuss it last week, like we said at the top of the show. Let's talk about it a little bit more since everybody's very hungry to learn about it. According to the website, the Berserker, I can't get over that name enough. Berserkers are tenacious, frost-infused bruisers who complement their firepower with an onslaught of brutal, up-close and personal melee attacks. When confronted with a problem, a berserker's first instinct is to turn it into a popsicle and punch their way to a solution. Berserkers are handy warriors who hail from the frozen mountains with a long line of ancestors who have trained their bodies to withstand and even harness the bitter cold of icy winters. In battle, berserkers prefer to do their fighting up close and personal, taking point on the front lines as a whirling maelstrom of exceptionally chilly death.
Okay, so
Berserkers are specialists of what's that?
I have to interject for just a second because I
Sure.
think I have to play this character first. As much as I like the stabby stabomancer, this is basically describing my Rime of the Frost Maiden D&D barbarian dragonborn character. That's exactly what she is. She has a giant halberd and frost breath and, freezing abilities, and lives in the icy cold places of the world and smashes things with her halberd, and it's wonderful. So I mean, Berserker is going to be very near and dear to me. I'm definitely going to have to play this. That's so cool.
Yeah. Especially after you find out exactly what the Berserker can do, which is they are specialists of melee and cryo damage. Berserkers are their otherworldly powers allow them to become enraged via their action skills and channel the power of frost through many weaponry so that they may freeze and shatter their enemies, much like we were talking about before, and manifest an arsenal of raw, destructive force. Berserkers are even able to channel their bloodthirst by leeching life from fallen foes using a dash of occult magic. This last sentence is something that was not discussed at all or even brought to the forefront in the trailer.
Yeah.
Everybody thought that it was just the frost magic, but that's not the case.
Yeah, that's a huge deal, actually. Lifesteal is like one of the most fun mechanics in video games of any kind, and especially literally doing damage and taking life for yourself. It's just a wonderful sort of gameplay loop. I love this character so much. I'm actually 1000% gonna play this, maybe first, probably first. Because it just like embodies all my favorite things about the barbarian class in D&D, and I'm sure Bunkers and Badasses has something similar. Obviously, has something similar. This sounds amazing and so fun, and that's a huge deal. Lifesteal, chef's kiss, very good. Not only is it a tanky, super like sort of buff character. Lifesteal will keep that character alive like long term through all kinds of crazy damage coming at them. So if you're playing with a group, this is your tank character, I think, 100%.
It's a difficult thing to balance, Lifesteal. On one hand, I think of Borderlands 2, where you needed to get above the magical term health gate. If you were below 50.01%, you could be one shot. But if you were above 50.01%, you could be brought down to 1 to 3% HP. But if your lifesteal was very good, you would get yourself back above the health gate mechanic. My big concern is we have seen health gate done in pretty much every Borderlands game at this point. And I know why the mechanic is there. I appreciate the mechanic because nobody likes getting one shot in a video game. But part of the reason that Borderlands 2 was considered to be so imbalanced and unwieldy is because you had to balance your lifesteal with whatever character you were playing, especially Salvador, had to offset the speed at which you needed to get your health back. Otherwise, you would be two-shot by almost anything in the entire game. How are they going to slow down damage just enough so that, let's say I've got 5 guys wailing on me, but I'm playing the Berserker? How do I stay in that fight without having to retreat and rely on my weapons so that I'm not taking damage, but still stay in that fight and gain enough health so that I don't feel like I'm going to go down every time I get into some sort of scrap? Because you're playing a Berserker. You're going to want to be in there. That's the whole point.
If it's meant to be a tanky character, you definitely want to be in the middle of the action. But it seems like just from the trailer and that spinny attack that she does, that's
Dreadwind.
The point of it, right? Yeah, Dreadwind. So Dreadwind, from what it looks like, will allow you to gain that sort of second of space, right? It's almost a crowd control. It's not really a crowd control. It's more of a back away, baddie kind of attack, because if you're spinning, right, anything that's within that range of your halberd or weapon is going to be damaged and is going to be interrupted from doing damage to you, right? So that will let you stay in the action, but give you that breathing room while you're spinning to heal, right? Because you're doing damage, they can't attack you, you're spinning around like a crazy whirlwind of doom. And there's a freezing, shattering component, right? So if you're doing cryo damage, that will slow them down also, so they can't interrupt your whirlwind or do damage to you, right?
Of course.
So yeah, the cryo damage, as Mental Mars has said, will do crowd control for you by slowing down and freezing enemies. So I think it's a combination of things. Definitely the lifesteal is cool, and slowing your enemies down and sort of shoving them away from you with that spinny attack is going to give you that time to get those heals, I think, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Right. And conversely, we talk about what it's like to be in there and fight. My next question is Borderlands, Gearbox, they don't rest on their laurels. Okay? They're not something to just create what has already existed. And I've already seen the parallels in the YouTube chat, in the Facebook chat, in the Twitch chat, and they're all suggesting that this is a character based on, of course, pre-existing genre tropes of a normal berserker, if you will, in many types of D&D games, right? But this is Borderlands, specifically Wonderlands now. What sort of ranged options are berserkers going to actually be able to utilize? Because if melee is only one part of the combat, but we see a berserker as this go in there, smack things with an axe, smack things with a hammer, melee it up, mix people up, grab them up, make a storm, all of that, which is what we're looking for. This is still a gun-based game. What kind of long-range options is the berserker going to actually be able to get? Because it's Gearbox. They're not just going to make it a melee-only character. They've already stated that melee is only one part of combat.
I mean, I'm assuming a lot of it will be magic-based, but that's just a guess. And of course, there's guns, right? So all the guns give you range, pretty much, right? Like, unless you're... Even the shotguns and the SMGs give you plenty of range. So I think that will kind of be the solution. Once you get in close, then that's when you go Berserker, right? So, I mean,
I would like to see shotguns. I think shotguns would be a great complement to the Berserker, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's a smashy character, right? Like, so that just kind of makes sense in my brain. You want something that punches really hard when you're up close, but also gives you like a little bit of breathing room. I also think people are saying crossbow guns or crossbow versions of weapons and things like that would be really cool. I super agree. It's definitely more old world feeling, but gives you that oomph and that shotgun kind of feel, right? Lots and lots of damage from not too far a distance, but a little bit more range than swinging your giant axe around, right? So
big time. Crossbows, that's a whole different bear that I really actually can't wait for them to release more info on.
Yeah.
Hand crossbows, two-handed crossbows, I like them in video games, so I want to see what they actually do with that. I wonder if they're gonna have like that's its own weapon slot category. Like you have you have pistols and shotguns and everything. Crossbow, completely different section for it.
Oh man, that would be so cool. I mean, I originally from the trailers and stuff, I wasn't sure if it was like its own weapon type or if it was a melee type, right? Because it could be a melee type, but it could also fit into the gun type. Like crossbows could be a gun type weapon. So I don't know. I just want to see them in the game, and however they come to be in the game, I'm going to be really happy. But definitely more crossbows, more better. More different kinds. That would be so neat.
And then the abilities, they've named two of them so far that I've seen. Barrel Surge, which was the leap with the ice axe, and that causes the frozen shockwave. And of course, there's Dreadwind, which we were talking about a little bit earlier. But that's basically Whirlwind, but it has that freezing, shattering component. So, you know, Dreadwind. So I'm guessing they're both action skills. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, are they action skills or are they magic? We don't know.
That's a good question. Or are they even, you know how melee has melee augmentation?
Yeah.
Could the leap be a melee augmentation?
Maybe.
So that the first time you use it and then it goes on cooldown, you get Feral Slash.
Yeah.
Or Feral Surge, rather, I should say. That's actually an interesting concept. We haven't really discussed. They don't get how. Well, I shouldn't say that, because there are melee augments that do occasionally get used. Slag Explosion, for example, in Borderlands 2 was a very prominent melee augment that everybody loved to use and also crash everybody else's computers with. But we haven't really heard much about this yet. But then again, how much have we really heard about Wonderlands? This is it. This is the big time.
Yeah.
We finally reached it.
We don't really know what these are going to be. Are they weapons tied? Are they abilities tied to the class? Are they magic skills? Are they tied to the weapon? Are they affected by the weapon that you're using? We don't know.
No.
So we don't know what these are based on and like what kind of slot they might fill. But they're really cool, and the fact that you have the ability to do both of them as the Berserker makes me think that they're part of the class. So like inherent magic almost. Really, really, really cool that those exist. And it'll be really interesting to see if you can, and if you do, what it looks like if you mix and match. Like imagine you have something like Dreadwind, but you are a Stabomancer at heart, so to speak. So you kind of multi-class and you sneak into the middle of a fight and then start Dreadwind whirlwinding and kill everything around you. Like that would be crazy. I don't know if this is possible, but so far both of these classes make me really want to play them. So I wonder if I could like smush them together and have a Berserker Stabomancer all in one. That would be cool.
You know what it would be like? That the combo right there. Let's say you start Berserker and you prestige Stabomancer. And what you could do, based on just the little that we've seen, is you would jump in, you'd whirlwind, or no, you could go do one even better. You summon the giant spinny glaive right up above wherever you're going to jump in. You jump in with Feral Surge, you Dreadwind, and I'm hoping, because I have this idea, that the whirlwind sucks all the enemies closer to you.
Ooh.
So you got them grouped up, and then the glaive hopefully by then should come down and do damage on top of it. So you've got the Dreadwind damage, the Feral Surge damage, and the Stabomancer glaive damage on top of anything else that you might be doing at the time. And then you've got your crowd control for the rest of your group, because now you've got them all occupied and in the same spot. They've already took a whole bunch of damage on top of any debuffs you might have put on them. And then you've got everybody else in the back doing all their work now. You've effectively become the group's tank.
So Mental Mars is saying it's been mentioned that there are 6 classes that all have their own skill tree. Each skill tree has 2 action skills, and they should have 2 skills per class in the trailer, which is true. So if these are like we thought, if these are abilities tied to the class, right, then they're like magical abilities of the class, but they're separate from like other magics that your character could use, right? Like there's other spells and other magical abilities and things that your character could get from items or from other, things in the tree or etc. Really, really interesting how this is going to work. And again, if you can mix and match. So like the Dreadwind and Feral Surge are both specific to the Berserker, but who knows if you'll be able to combine one or both of those with secondary abilities from another class, or if they could themselves be I don't know how that's going to work. Either way, it's very cool.
It's a great idea. So there's a lot of opportunity. And I think where we go from here is the next thing that I would like to see them announce. Because the Stabomancer, that's traditional, that's your rogue, but does do some magic. Berserker, your tank, but also could be a damage dealer. Now I want to see something that's a little bit more hardcore magic-y, and I'd really like to see a healer. I would very much like to see maybe not a dedicated healing class, but at least a class with a dedicated healing tree. We gotta finish the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, that would be really cool. There's a really cool comment in the Twitch chat from Cynicasmo. Each class might have different spell type augments in their skill tree too, like elemental spells, summoning, etc. That would be incredibly awesome. Like if you're so if you could purchase spells, another comment in the chat from Butterfly Tsunami, you can purchase spells like you can purchase grenades, right? And the different things in your skill tree augment different kinds of spells. So like let's say you prefer to do fire spells, maybe the class that you have chosen is a fire style class. You know, I don't know what it's called. I have no idea if it even exists.
Pyromancer, just
yeah,
that.
But yeah, like
set, yeah.
just imagine there's a pyromancer. Very, very. That's the word my brain was searching for. Thank you, Mitsu. If there's a pyromancer style of character class, right? Maybe they just have an ability that boosts all fire spell damage, and so you're gonna buy up all the fire spells. That would be really cool. That'd be amazing. It'd be really hot, actually.
Oh,
I had to.
ooh, boy. Ooh. It was a good joke. I'm gonna let it slide because it was good. It was very good. Oh boy. All right. So there you have it. That's everything that we know right now about the Berserker, with a little speculation and hopes and dreams thrown in there.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get a lot more information. Christmas is coming very quickly. The Game Awards is soon. And then it's January, and January is 3 months out. The information is going to start coming fast and furious. I can't wait. But for now, this will have to tide you over. Wow, words. This will have to tide you over.
Yeah. I also agree with another comment in chat that a dedicated healer class would be cool. I mean, I would love for there to be a healer class that can still play by themselves, right? So like if they're going to be healing focused, they can still output damage and heal themselves as well as heal others. That would be really neat. If they can only heal others, I feel like it won't be used as much because everybody always wants to do damage, at least as much as they can. But
unless they make it so that when they do damage, they get a little bit of lifesteal off of it. So that way the healer class that let's say, I know, here's how you balance it. You give it like a 5% damage penalty, but you make it so you can heal yourself.
Yeah.
That, because if you're going to go a straight healer class, you should be able to, of course, heal effectively, but there has to be a drawback to that. And the only drawback that really matters in Borderlands is the amount of damage that you do.
Yeah.
So you'd have to walk that back. Heal by attacking allies. I mean, ever since Borderlands 1, Cauterize has been in. So you could have the Pyromancer actually do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, so many possibilities. I just want to know more. So please, more information. And better yet, can we just fast forward 5 months? That would be perfect.
You know what? With how fast this month went, it's going to be here before you know it.
True.
Hey, look, we ran late, and once again, we don't get to the other thing that we wanted to talk about. So I guess that gets pushed back 2 weeks, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. Next week is a very, very special episode. There will be some special things happening. We can't go into too many details, but let's just say that next week is going to be incredibly exciting for us, and I think for you guys as the community. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to the Borderlands Twitter, and just kind of keep an ear and an eye out. There'll hopefully be some announcements on the Twitter and maybe even in the Discord. Definitely we'll talk about it more on our various platforms. Next week is going to be a very, very cool episode of the Bordercast, and we'll come back and talk about some of this other stuff we haven't quite gotten to the following week. But yeah, next week.
Here's what we can reveal. Are you ready? We're going to do an interview. It's going to be with 4 folks who are direct leads on a project. And that project involves something that all of you really enjoy that is part of Borderlands 3. And that's literally as far as I can go. I think I can go a little bit further, but you know what? I'm not going to. You got to tune in next week and find out exactly who we're talking to and why. But I promise you, You're going to want to watch it.
Yeah. Pay attention to the Borderlands Twitter like early next week also. Just saying.
Big
It'll be
time.
good.
Watch those socials because this is there is some viewer participation involved here too.
Yeah. And yeah, next week Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern as at our usual scheduled time is when this will happen. So,
and when is that usual scheduled time, Tess?
Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. That's how we get the plug. That's good.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us. Seriously, we appreciate it so much. We love doing this show. I look forward to it. I know Mitsu does too, every single week. And it's always such a blast. We always run late because we just love talking to you guys so much and talking about this stuff so much. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube and liking if you enjoyed the show. It helps so much. Thank you for that. Make sure you have notifications set up on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, YouTube Music, and Stitcher. This episode will be going up later today. I'm trying to make sure they always get in at least the day of or the next morning at the latest, but I'm really going to make sure this one gets in or later today. So stay tuned to the Borderlands Twitter and social things for tidbits about next week. Next week, like I said, very special episode, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Mitsu, where can the people find you on the internet?
Twitter.com/Mitsu Show, MITSUSHOW, where I've started actually tweeting more again. It's been amazing. And I guess I have more to say. I don't know. Maybe it's just I love fall. I'm excited. Summer's just kind of like whenever it's hot outside and I hate everything. Fall's like, yay, there's leaves and they change colors, rainbows and stuff. I like this. This is good. And twitch.tv/Mitsu, MITSU. Also, what Mystique Siren said is correct. I also tweet a lot about Half-Life. That's it. And scarves. Yes. Tess, where can they find you?
Thank you.
There, yes.
Tess Games on Twitter and Instagram, and Tessichka, just Tessa, CHKA on Twitch. I try my very best to stream at least either Saturday or Sunday on my channel. And then I'm trying to do one or two other streams during the week these days. They're usually in the evenings around 8 p.m. Eastern. And I also am on The Wandering Inn on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern for a really cool show called Drifting. It's a space show. And Rime of the Frost Maiden on Table Story at 5 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. That is my D&D, like true D&D Dragonborn barbarian character that I feel like she and the Berserker would get along so well. So check her out. She's fun.
Maybe best of friends.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you all bunches.
Indeed. So on behalf of Tess, myself, and the entire content creation team, thank you so much for joining us. You do every single week. Now go forth and make some mayhem.
Welcome to the Wonderlands, a glorious fantasy realm chock full of shooting, looting, and mystical, magical, smelly stuff. When you traverse these splendorous lands, it'll be up to you, dear traveler, to class up and save the day. Perhaps you fancy your hand at Stabomancy. It's less magic and more a way of thinking. Specifically, how do I stab that guy? Mayhaps by tossing out an ethereal psychic ghost sword? Stabomancers are all about creating and capitalizing on opportunities. Vis-a-vis stabbing. Or should you prefer a less subtle approach, the Berserker is for you. See something? Smash it! See something else? Smash that! Unleash your frosty fury on foe after foe. Honestly, it's therapeutic. That's just a taste of what we've got in store for you. There are plenty more ways to play. Whatever your poison, we've got you covered. Welcome to the Wonderland!